Welcome back everybody to Forza Motorsport. So we're continuing on with the Mustang Tour, and today we're starting off the Street Stallions Championship. So it looks like we're moving into the more modern vehicles after going in the for older ones from the likes of the 60s. So yeah, let's see what this championship is about. Hopefully it has an introduction. Some of these sometimes don't. And then we'll look at what cars we can drive and then what track we're going to be starting on. Oh, no introduction. Alright, that's fine. So, yeah, like I said, more modern cars from the Mustang lot. So, yeah, we've got the Ford SVT Cobra R, most powerful Mustang at that time. As, yeah, it's got a fair decent amount of power, 385 horsepower and 385 pounds-feet of torque, from its natural aspirated 5.4 litre V8. Then we've got the 1995 version of that car. So, yeah, less power, less torque, but obviously it is also an older car. 300 horsepower though, and 365 pounds-feet of torque is not anything to really sniff at, especially from the mid-90s. And again, like I said in my review of this car, you have to realise that Mustangs back then hadn't had anywhere near 300 horsepower for quite a long time. So yeah, it was kind of a revelation back at the time. And the car that this one succeeded, the SVT Cobra R from 1993, is a perfect example of how little power Ford Mustangs had from the 80s, well at least the mid 70s to the early 90s. Only 235 horsepower and 280 pounds-feet of torque for its 4.9 litre V8, which is not a lot, but then again it doesn't weigh all that much either. And then we have the Ford Mustang SVO, which is yeah, nowhere near as powerful as any of the other Mustangs here, but it's also lighter than every other Mustang here as well. And yeah, it's got still pretty potent engine and torque, considering A, it's not a V8, it's 2.3 litre inline 4 turbocharged engine, and B, it's from an era where, yeah, not many cars did have a huge amount of horsepower that were easily purchasable by most people. So yeah, the fact it's got 200 horsepower and 240 pounds-feet of torque is fairly solid. Only real issue is the fact it's from a heavily modified Ford Pinto engine, so it doesn't sound particularly great, unfortunately. So yeah, but we're gonna go for we'll go for the SVT Cobra R from the mid-90s. It's a bit of a good middle ground between two cars before it and the one after it. And yeah, crucially I don't have to buy it again either because I already own it. So yeah, let's get in it and see what we can do. So where are we racing first? We're at Sebring International Raceway on the short circuit. So yeah, we do have plenty of power in this car, so should be able to take advantage of the straight sections on this course, because there are two big ones. Obviously there are corners as well where the less sophisticated aspects of this car will shine through, but should hopefully still do well, because we do have a lot of power and torque on tap. But as per usual, when it comes to older cars, it's how that power is delivered, because there's plenty of cars from before this car was released that have even more power, but they don't typically deliver that power in an effective manner.
Lap, so settle into your race rhythm before you get aggressive and go after the lead.
Chief among which is the fact that the gearboxes are not always the greatest, which is typically what does hold back any older car that has quite a lot of power. Right, so let's get down to 18% and let's see what this car can do in stock form. As per usual, we start off a championship in stock form just to see what the car is capable of in its own right, and then we will upgrade it for the next race and then the subsequent two races in the next episode. So yeah, this car was only available in white with that interior colour, so it's not the best combination. I do like the white colour, but that interior colour is not my favourite. Right, so stock wise, we have more power than the Trans Am that we just passed, as well as the two other Mustangs that are near us. They've likely been upgraded. Camaro does have more power than we do, 25 extra horsepower I believe. Being quite aggressive. Trans Am and the Camaro, both in front of us, have the same engine. 7-litre V8, which is pretty potent. Why the Camaros are being so aggressive, but there we go. So yeah, we're unlikely to be able to compete with everyone here in terms of outright speed. This SVT Cobra behind us is definitely faster on a straight line, so is the Trans Am that is in front. But despite being a big Pontiac fan, I've never rated that Trans Am that is in front all that much. It's a perfectly good driver's car, and you know, goes like stink in a straight line, but I just do not like the overly fussy front end that it has going on. All of its, you know, scoops and angles on that front, it just looks a mess. Not the worst car they've ever released in terms of looks. You know, the Aztec is certainly a far uglier car than the Trans Am, but quite frankly the looks of the Aztec are the least of that car's problems. Whereas that being a coupe, you know, you sacrifice your practicality and your economy and everything like that just for, basically for the looks and how it drives, and unfortunately half of that isn't the case with that car. It drives well, but it doesn't look the part. And this isn't performing as well on the straights as I'd hoped it would. Granted, I knew we weren't going to be the most powerful car here, but I was hoping it would still be able to keep well ahead of certain cars, and at least keep up with some other ones. I believe the Trans Am and the Camaro, which share the same engine, weigh more than we do. But like I said, they do have more power. Seemingly catch up in the corners with the Trans Am up front, but able to capitalise on that with any real speed. This is a reasonably handling car, considering, you know, it's not got the best amount of underpinnings going for it. I do remember it was an old Top Gear episode, maybe one of Clarkson's DVDs that he released at the time, but Michael Schumacher took one of these in convertible form at Silverstone, and he seems to like it quite a fair bit, so he certainly knows what it takes to be a driver's car.
3 more.
I think with these kind of cars, they're so basic that there's very little to actually go wrong in terms of handling characteristics. As long as it's got the grip and it delivers the power reasonably well, it's all good from there. Brakes are not the best. Get a massive collision with an SVT Cobra as a reward. It just loses in places, so it's its own fault. Definitely going to need to liven this car up a bit in terms of either pure horsepower or lighten the car so we can make the most of what power we actually have. Because for something with 300 horsepower, you'd expect to get well above 130 at the very least from a straight that long. It could also be the gearbox that is not making the most of its power. Because outside of the brakes, the handling is actually fairly good. Some of the worst handling muscle cars out there. You can see how they put this car on a crash diet. Standard SVT with slightly less power probably wouldn't be anywhere near as good to handle. I've gained a little bit of time on fourth, but again they are still substantially ahead as we're coming round to the last corner for this lap. Forget that that's the edge of the track. Luckily we got away with it.
One more lap.
Well, 5th place, if this is what we're going to hold for this race, is still a decent position to start a championship off with, especially in a stock car. There are definitely areas of this vehicle that can be improved. Chief among which is the brakes and the less than impressive acceleration, which is perfectly fine for the car itself. When it comes to racing, it's a little bit underwhelming. So yeah, 5th place there to start this championship off with. So yeah, could have been a lot worse, could have been better.
Good run out there.
Again, I don't know how the Cobra R's are in B class when they're only 6 points ahead of us. I really don't get that sometimes. I don't know how that happens, but regardless, 5th place, and yeah, that means we've got 20 points to start this championship off with. So yeah, let's get to the upgrade screen and see how we can make this car a little bit better. Right, so the two areas we identified in the previous race were lack of real acceleration, either due to weight, power or the gearbox, and the brakes themselves. So yeah, we'll upgrade the brakes to race brakes. We obviously don't have a huge amount of PI to play with, so we are obviously going to have to prioritise. Now, I think weight is a big killer for acceleration for the most part, to be honest. But as you can see, it doesn't greatly improve our acceleration stat. Let's have a look at the transmission. What does that do for us? That also only marginally puts it up, but as you can see, it doesn't cost us any PI to do that either. So definitely going to go for that. We'll upgrade the tyres front and rear just so we have that extra bit of traction. At the end of the day, we are obviously going to probably give it extra power. Now we can give this car a whole host of different modifications in terms of the way it looks. Everything from changing the hood to whichever way you want it, to the side skirts to improve the aerodynamics of the car at the top end. As you can see, it does make a moderate amount of difference. The only annoying thing with this game is when it comes to modifying the car the way it looks, you can't move the car around like you can in Forza Horizon 5, which is yeah, a little bit annoying. You know, when you are modifying a car, you want to see how it looks at certain angles, and yeah, that just is not the case with this game for whatever reason. We'll give it the race bumper just to again improve handling. We'll lighten the hood to improve turning at the front. Front bumper, does that do these do anything? Not really. Only the Forza editions do anything in terms of handling. really, outside of the rear bumper. So, yeah, right. Acceleration. Could we supercharge it? No. Figures that will take it way above. So yeah, lack of breathing in a car is heavily restrictive when it comes to horsepower. But I do like my precise numbers. Don't ask me why. Get it, unfortunately, not with the intake manifold. It gives us 12 horsepower. And what about displacement? Goes up to 620, 320 even, sorry. Exhaust takes us up to 320 and it also lightens the car by 20 pounds, so that seems like a good idea. Another thing that's annoying, and it's something you can do in Forza Horizon 5, is you can rev the engine while upgrading it to see what it sounds like when you change parts on the engine, which, yeah, it's just certain stuff like that that's kind of annoying really, that you'd expect, you know, Forza Horizon 5 came out well before this, you'd expect this game to take, you know, hints from that game in terms of what works, what doesn't, and yet they don't seem to have learnt whatsoever from that game. Which is a shame. Right, so I think that's going to be good enough. So yeah, as you can see by the stats, we've gone up in terms of acceleration, speed, handling and braking, and it didn't cost us all that much either. So yeah, tuning wise, yeah, we now do 0 to 60 in 4.801 seconds, which is substantially better than last time. 0 to 112.36 seconds, and we can now go up to 169 miles an hour. So yeah, hopefully that'll stand us in good stead, especially since Road America is quite, again, a straight heavy circuit. There's only really 4 corners, and yeah, 2 big straights out of the side. So yeah, and it's 6 laps again as well. So these aren't the longest races on either. They're obviously not only on the short circuits, but they don't have a huge amount of laps despite being on the short circuits either. So yeah.
Be as aggressive as possible through every section.
Not particularly
but remember
lengthy.
the track limits.
But again,
hate to see time penalties.
Hopefully the straight line speed of this car can come through. It did somewhat in the previous race, you know, it did at least manage to keep ahead of some cars that had more power, but we're also struggling to gain on cars that also had more power as well, so it was a little bit in between the two. Right, let's see if our modifications have any positive impact. Hopefully they will, because at the end of the day we are grippier, we are lighter, and we are more powerful, we have better brakes and a better transmission, so I can't see that doing us too wrong, surely. Is that a Dodge Stealth? I think it is on the grounds. Heavily modified one, because I'm struggling to recognise it. If it is, I wouldn't have thought that would have counted as a car to be used in this championship. Yes, it is. I thought this was from Muscle Cars, because that is not a muscle car, that is a Grand Tourer sports car. Gear shifts do seem a bit crisper. We're getting up to a decent rate of speed, although these straights on Road America are longer than the ones on Sebring. Brakes definitely better. They're stopping us like a dump truck. Plenty of handling as well. Getting into 5th before we hit this start finish line. Yes, we can. Automatically, already in our position we ended on in the last race. So, yeah, I do feel like we've made good improvements this car. Are there other ways you could go with it? Sure. Make it extremely lightweight and completely dedicate yourself to handling, but I feel then on a circuit like this you really wouldn't have much in the way of advantages, because it is speed heavy, and even with the extra 20 horsepower that we've got, we're not really gaining on very many people, and Trans Am behind us is still able to keep up. Again though, even in stock form it would have 5 extra horsepower than we do, but I imagine it does way more. Weight plays less of a factor the quicker you go. It only really has a massive impact on the 0 to 60 time, because that's when you get going, when you've already worked your way through the gears and you've got your torque and your horsepower on the go. It's not as much of an issue. Obviously it is when you're going 250 mile an hour, whatever, and you've got all of the downforce acting on your car, but these kind of speeds, yeah, it doesn't play much of a role. Gaining or not? No. Get the feeling that these V8s from Ford just don't deliver power in the way that you'd expect, like the Chevrolet engines that are in the Camaro and the Trans Am. Got a good lead over 6th, but I'm really hate to just again be in 5th place. The easy option would have been to go for the newer SVT. Do seemingly have the better handling over the car in front, but like I said earlier, this is not a circuit that prioritises handling. There's no real big braking zones here either of the outside of the third corner. so slightly closer than we were last time. Let's get to the draft hole.
Last lap.
So it seems to be getting quicker and quicker, but not by enough of an amount to make up the time. So close to getting fourth. Close but no cigar, unfortunately, and I think I've made a mistake when it came to upgrading, that I didn't realise that the limit was actually B and not C. So yeah, as you can see, some of those were higher class than we were. Although weirdly, we have more PI in there and B class in there at 496. I don't know what's going on with the AI PI, but yeah, I think it was actually B class that we could upgrade to, so my bad on that part if that was the case, but I've only just realised that that might have been the case in fact. So yeah, but if that is so, then we will upgrade it in the next episode to B class and get it and hopefully to you know, a better position in the next two races. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, hang on, sorry, I forgot to go to the points. So yeah, 20 points again means that we're now up to 40 points. It does mean that we're in 4th place, even though we've only got 5th place twice. So yeah, still a lot to try and claw back in terms of points. 13 points ahead of us is 1st place. So yeah, still everything to play for us, but 1st place has got a comfortable lead at the moment. So yeah, once again though, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.